I've always talked about branding and positioning yourself as an expert, as an authority in a certain niche. And recently, I got a question from one of my followers on Instagram saying that she has always wanted to do the same but did not feel comfortable doing so because she did not feel like an expert, right? I know that it may seem like a really scary thing or process because it sounds as though to become an expert and to be the authority in your industry or niche, it seems like you need to know everything, right? But here's the truth that many people don't understand is that when you become an expert and when you position yourself as one, it is not about knowing everything, but it is about actually being a few chapters ahead. What do I mean by that? You see, a few weeks ago, I watched this old movie based on a true story of Frank Abagnale Jr., the famous con artist, titled Catch Me If You Can. In this movie, Leonardo DiCaprio portrayed Frank Abagnale Jr. There was this really interesting part where Leonardo DiCaprio was standing in front of a class when he was just 16 years old and pulling off teaching an entire class in high school for an entire semester, and nobody found out. Years passed when he was finally caught up by this FBI agent portrayed by Tom Hanks. Right? Tom Hanks asked Leonardo DiCaprio how did he manage to pull off teaching an entire class in high school for an entire semester. A subject where he is completely clueless about. His reply was simply, every time when I was teaching a class, I would just read up the chapter before the class. And then I would teach that one chapter. And what if I told you that in business, it is the very, very similar scenario. It is not about knowing everything because frankly, no one knows everything, right? But rather being a few chapters ahead of your peers, of your competition. What if I told you that in your line of work, in your industry, in your niche, it is not about knowing everything and studying everything, but rather being a few steps ahead of your peers and your competitors. Then all of a sudden seems a lot less scary. At the end of the day, it is not about knowing everything. It is about being a few chapters ahead.